Assalamu alaikum. Hi, I'm a Muslim girl. Have you ever wondered what is 3D printing? What 3D printing can do and how 3D printing works? In medicine, 3D printers can regenerate entire organs that look like and have the same properties as the original human organs using stem cells. Once printed by the 3D printer, the organ, like a kidney, can be transplanted back into the patient that donated the stem cells. Since the stem cells come from the same patient that needs the organ, there is no need for anti-rejection medication. The 3D printer requires knowledge of medicine and engineering. In this project, I'll show you how to code a 3D printer using the app Hopscotch on the iPad. You can download the Hopscotch app free of charge from the App Store, and if you like to create videos to explain your work, you can use an app like Explain Everything. My Hopscotch 3D printer is going to print a kidney following the movement of my finger as it touches the iPad. And we get the kidney being printed in 3D. After downloading the Hopscotch app, you need to go into your settings in order to make sure that you have access to the emoji keyboard, in addition to the other keyboards that you are using. If you search 3D printer, you will find that this program is already on the Hopscotch app. It was done by Slick Judge, and it's called 3D printer. You can explore the Hopscotch app, but for now we are going to press the plus sign in order to start our program. Select blank project. Is the work area to make a 3D printer. We will be using 5 objects. The first one is an emoji character that will make the table. This object will make the dish. This object is what will create the kidney following the movement of my finger. And those 2 objects here are just going to be following the dot in order to make the 3D printing machine. I press on the plus sign in order to select my object, so it could be here an emoji character or text or the rectangle or the semicircle that appears on our work area. To make our table, we choose an emoji character, a white rectangle from the emoji keyboard. We have here the Hopscotch environment. Here's the object as selected. We have abilities that are already created by Hopscotch. I can use a plus sign if I like to create my own abilities. And they are blocks of all kinds. So we have movement blocks, drawing blocks, looks and sound blocks, and more. Here's the events. When an event happens, we have 3 rules that can be followed. So I will choose an event. When the play button is tapped, I want something to happen. When the play button is tapped, I want to make my table. So I will go into the movement blocks and I will slide, turn 90 degrees. I want my table to be horizontal, so I will turn this rectangle by 90 degrees so it is horizontal. My rectangle is tiny, so I'm going to go into looks and sound blocks and select the set size command to enlarge it. So I'm going to enlarge my block by 5000%, so it will be as wide as the screen of the iPad. And at last I will select a movement block, set position. I will slide it to the right in order to place my table at the bottom of the screen. So I will select the position 500 minus 400. So we have here all the code to create our table. Next, we are going to code the dish where the kidney is going to be printed. We press on the plus sign here to select our dish, and we're going to add a rule. For our dish, when the play button is tapped, we are going to set the color white. We're going to have a white dish, and we are going to enlarge it by 1000%. After that, from the movement blocks, we are going to turn our dish by 180 degrees so it faces the other way, and we're going to set its location on the screen at 500, 150. So here we have our entire code for the dish. The dot, which prints the kidney at the movement of the finger, has 3 different rules. We will look at each rule individually. Here we have the first rule of the dot. When the play button is tapped, we are just going to draw the black background. We use a leave a trail command from the drawing blocks, and we are going to make a very, very large black dot. So we choose a black color. The width of the dot is as wide as we can, and we just move forward 1 unit to make one very, very large dot that makes the background. Here we're making the second rule of our dot. When the event happens, when the iPad is pressed, we are going to change the position of the dot according to the movement of the finger on the iPad. Hopscotch knows where your finger is touching the iPad. That information is contained in the variables, the iPad variables, last touch X and last touch Y. So in order to do that, when the iPad is pressed, we're going to use the command set position X, and our X value is going to be last touch X and iPad last touch Y. So when our finger moves on the iPad, the dot is going to follow our finger. Now we know that the dot is always going to be following our finger. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to use another command. At this time, when the iPad is pressed, we're going to draw where the finger is touching. So we're going to set a variable. So in the value area, we're going to use the command set value. We're going to give it a name called hi and give it a size 20. So whenever we draw, the width of the line is going to be 20. So whenever hi is used, think of 20. We are going to leave a trail. So leave a trail is the command to draw. So we're going to draw a pink line followed by a darker pink line and a very dark pink line of 20 units wide, exactly at the position last touch X and last touch Y, and that's the location where our finger has been pressing the iPad. So I create the value high by pressing here new value, and I give it a name. We are creating several lines of several colors, so here are the rest of the colors. So a red color dot, a purple dot, and another purple dot. This ends our last rule for the dot command. The next object is the emoji character of the pen that makes our 3D printer. It has 2 different rules that will apply at 2 different times. We have our pen. When the play button is tapped, we are going to set the size of the pen to 300%, and then we are going to make it vertical. We are going to turn by minus 45 degrees. I want my pen, my 3D printer pen, to always follow the dot. So I will choose the event when 7 equals 7. That's always true. So the pen is always going to be following the dot. The pen is going to follow the dot. So we are going to use the set position command to do that. And the pen is going to have the dot position, so that you can see the dot X position, and it will be a little bit higher than the dot, so the dot Y position, and we're going to use the calculator Y position plus 50, so the pen is a little bit above the dot, but it's always following the dot. We press on the arrows here in order to find the X position and Y position of the dot, and not the iPad, just the dot or the object you were using. This completes the rules for the pen. Our last object is the arm that controls the pen, and it has two rules. When the play button is tapped, we are going to choose the rectangle, and we are going to turn it by 90 degrees so the rectangle is vertical. We are going to make it gray color and enlarge it by 600%. The arm of the 3D printer is also going to follow the dot, so it's always going to be true that we are following the dot at the dot X position and the dot Y position plus 400, a little bit above the pen and above the dot. And we have our 3D printer. If you want to see what other cool projects Slick Judge did, so you can search Slick Judge under Hopscotchers, and you'll be able to see a wide variety of projects. You can search the Hopscotch community for other cool projects. If you press the house, you will see a large variety of feature projects that may interest you. When you press the mountains, you will see several leveled games that will teach you how to code using Hopscotch in a game format. When you press the plus sign, you'll see several ideas of projects. They are videos that shows you what you can do using Hopscotch. Have fun with Hopscotch and explain everything.